Possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by a point, and there's the whistle. It's over. It's over.
We earned it by winning the last 2 matches on the road, and that's not going to be taken away from us.
But what I love in hurling, I love players that will never give in.
He hits it. He hits it. It's over the bar. Oh, holy Moses.
Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the RTÉ GAA podcast. We've got hurling coming up with Shane McGrath a little bit later on. Dessie Dolan is with myself and Rory to look back on genuinely a thrilling and exciting and surprising weekend of football. Dessie, you know, Rory was just joking before we came on here saying, who would have thought that we'd be talking about the end of Dublin's dominance in Leinster? I genuinely don't think anybody saw this result coming yesterday with Meath beating Dublin.
Jacqui, I'm trying not to smile too much because, and with the greatest respect to Dublin, but it's absolutely amazing this morning. Because what Meath have done is they've given everybody in the province a little bit of hope, because there was no hope. To give it context, Stephen Cluxton has 18 Leinster medals. Brian Fenton started and finished his career and never lost a game in Leinster. And now Meath went and put in that performance, which was just, it was brilliant throughout, and it was exhilarating, exciting, and it had all the superlatives that you'd want. But then the gift that keeps on giving, now we have a Leinster final and it's Louth and Meath. It gets better and better and better.
Yeah. I know. And you know what the funny thing is, Rory, like I was saying to you, and I know you've been in this position before, having produced the Sunday game for years, but generally for people to understand the way these things work, we would during the week put together a running order, and we sort of have a sense of the way things are meant to go. And we would have always said, okay, Munster hurling, we were supposed to start with that. But at half time, we were ripping it all up saying, you know, is this possible that Meath are going to do this? And you know what the chaos is like in the background, but you absolutely have to go with it because it was the biggest story of the weekend.
And it is chaos because people might think that's a simple thing. Let's just change the running order. It's not. It's actually not that simple at all. And we won't get into the vagaries of the difficulties around it. But it was the right call and it was the right thing to do. It was the story of the day. The funny thing about it was RTÉ finally show a double bill of Munster hurling, and the story happens elsewhere. So maybe that's RTÉ's fault as well.
Oh, I know.
You know, it's just the way I look. It was the scenes and the full-time whistle to see what it meant to the people of Meath, what it means for football, and it was fully deserved, wasn't it, Des?
Yeah, no, it was. Like, if you go through the performances of the players, like, yeah, the slight context is obviously Dublin were down Bugler, they were down Keane Murphy, they were down Merchant, which is obviously, it's a factor. But in saying that, Robbie Brennan's team from the very start, they had the win, they won the toss, they pushed up on Stephen Cluxton, they put the pressure on. Meath are a big physical team around the middle. And they had Menton back towards the end of the league. I suppose Meath tapered off a little bit, if you're being honest. It looked like they did well, surpassed expectations and dipped a little. But there's a guy that came in yesterday and played Matty Costello, and I just think that he just adds so much running power to the Meath team on top of the physicality that they brought. And then on top of the finishing, Frey's finishing has been excellent. And then Conlon was super. It just shows you playing with a little bit of confidence at county football. It's just a world away, because he's been in around it for a while but never got the chance. And if you think Jordan Morris was missing, he's picked up the bad injury towards the tail end of the league. Conlon's after taking his chance, but they couldn't mark him. The Dublin defence couldn't get their hands near him, and Frayne as well. Dublin defence yesterday was at 6s and 7s. They weren't organised, they weren't tight, they were very sloppy. And then the pressure that they applied to Stephen Cluxton's kick out, they were very well drilled in that regard as well. But the performance, it didn't dip, they kept going. You see, in a lot of respects, a team can get ahead and then the Dublin come at you and you wobble and you shake, and then they get the couple of points and it's done. But Meath were resilient and they held on, and it was an absolutely super performance in Portlaoise. We always said it, bring the doves out of Croke Park. We always said it, but no, I just thought Meath were fully deserving of that win yesterday, and it was a super performance.
Do you know, the other thing is, Rory, we've talked about this on the podcast where we've had a couple of almosts. Cork almost got there against Kerry. Yeah. And like, you know, Fermanagh almost got there against Down. And maybe that wouldn't have been as big an upset, but we've had a few of them that got very close. And I think we were kind of saying the new rules have really allowed this to happen. We finally got it yesterday. And I think this is exactly what football needed, not just Leinster football. I think football in general needed this, just to prove that this has been the right decision and this was coming all along.
Yeah, you made that point last week, and I think it was absolutely spot on that, like, despite all of the nearly misses, and Cork obviously had a could have, should have, we saw Leitrim put up a very spirited display against Mayo for long spells. Wicklow gave Dublin plenty of it, but obviously ran out 9-point defeated in the end. So you saw lots of nearly misses, which didn't really, I suppose, do justice to the new rules and the difference that it's made to football. What we needed was a major shock, and boy, was this was seismic now. And I know people might say this isn't the Dublin of old. They have lost their aura. They are very much a mere mortal side now, just like most other teams. But it was still, I mean, their first championship defeat in Leinster in 15 years. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's your sense of Meath, Dessie, and what a win like this does for them? Because to go to a Leinster final, to find themselves in an All-Ireland series where if they were to win a Leinster final, you're going in as a number 1 seed. You God only knows what you're going to be getting in the third pot. But I do, the trajectory for them, and then we can talk about the other game after that. But I do, just for me, then what it might mean in terms of the trajectory of where they're going, because like, let's not forget, it's been a turbulent season for them as well. Some high profile exits from the backroom team, a stop-start league campaign. Like, it hasn't been perfect either.
No, there is a sense that Meath are getting a lot right. The minors are going well. The 20s are in the...
It's allowed me the under-20 final at Leinster level as well. Maybe they should put that on as a double-header.
Yeah.
But in terms of Meath, I suppose, Jacqui, if you're being honest about it, after Dublin, you'd say the Meath, the Royals, like there's so much history there with the Royal Irelands, with Sean Boylan, with the quality of players that they've produced over the years. And there certainly was a frustration the last 10, 15 years in terms of performances. They just couldn't seem to get it right. For everybody else, it's a shot in the arm, like, because Meath are performing at a level now that you kind of go, well, all of a sudden you're looking at Meath going, they've quality all over the pitch, they're very good finishers, they've big men around the middle. Like, it looks all of a sudden that the landscape is changing very quickly in Leinster, that Meath now look realistically like a team that are going to be around for a while and they're going to be competing at the level. I think Brian Flanagan will do a good job in Kildare as well.
Yeah.
So
Louder improving.
Like Westmeath, when we were like you competing at that level, like there's a lot of there all of a sudden, Jacqui, everybody's got a shot in the arm to say Leinster is wide open again. There's life in it. There's opportunity there. But to be honest, Meath are the team after Dublin that you say this should be thereabouts all the time. It's just because of their tradition, and they have, to be fair to Meath, and it left them for a while. Even when they weren't great for a little while, they'd always come back and they'd always get you. They had that kind of doggedness to win and resilience, and that kind of left as well for the last 10 or 15 years. But Jesus, yesterday it was back big time, because Dublin were down to 4 points with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So they got
it back to 2, didn't they?
Yeah, and there was an opportunity there for Dublin just to go. A couple of misses from Clare and Kilkenny, a couple of misses in general, Pascal, but Meath had to show that determination and doggedness, and it did. And that's the great thing about that performance yesterday.
To me, that's the key thing, Rory, because I heard Robbie Brennan saying this afterwards. They knew Dublin were coming back at them. Yes, the wind was significant, and they thought they were going to need a big lead coming into the end. But even when Dublin pushed them, I still thought Meath had enough ball winners around the middle of the field. They made some really smart decisions, and it looks like they were learning as the game went on. And I think from his point of view, he's got to be thinking that's actually the biggest part of this.
And they'll go into this Leinster final now full of confidence. Brian Menton, I thought, was absolutely outstanding. I mean, he's on the scene. He's on the scene a long time. Would he be 31, 32, maybe a bit older? I
think he was on the fringes in 2010.
So you're going back that far. So
I think he made his debut in 2011 then.
Yeah. So, like, imagine what it means to a player like him. You know,
Even Ronan Jones
Donald Keoghan, these
Ronan
types of
Jones,
players.
yeah.
Like, it's just, I think it'll give them a whole new lease of life, a whole new confidence. They'll go into the Leinster final thinking, right, well, let's go and win it now. Let's get that pot one slot for ourselves. And would you back against them at this stage? What a Leinster final. What a Leinster final we have to look forward to. I mean, the crowd, the colour, the 2010, I'm sure Martin Sludden's phone might be getting a few phone calls, the poor fella, but you know.
I saw some of the pictures over the weekend, and I did think that poor man will be harassed again, because I do think it probably invokes those memories, Dessie, because of, I don't know, I just guess because Leinster has been such a closed shop for 15 years, when Dublin have won 44 games and nobody feels they can get a hold on it. It's not just the people of Meath this morning, it's the people of Louth who are getting the sense, like Ger Brennan was like a child on the sideline with the excitement of being in a Leinster final. You could see what it meant in the full-time scenes in that game as well, because I think there's an appreciation for the whole province of the opportunity there that everybody has, as you rightly say.
Oh, but absolutely. But like, let's not forget Louth in all of this. Louth are going for this is the third Leinster final in a row. Ger Brennan has done a very good job. They got to an All-Ireland quarter-final last year on the back of Mickey Hart, you know, back to back promotions. Like, Louth are trending really well, but people mightn't be aware of the quality player that Louth actually have. Like, you look at Tommy Dernan around the middle, big physical presence. Craig Lennon was an all-star last year, an exceptional player. 4 points yesterday from play, exceptional runner. Sam Mulroy is the icing on the cake in terms of a place kicker. He's not going to miss routine frees. He's going to get them. But equally, if you look at yesterday in the first half, about 50, 55 yards out, a two-pointer off the ground, he gives that sort of quality as well. The goalkeeper, excellent saves as well. Louth and Ger Brennan and where they're at. And in fairness, if you listen or do listen to some of the interviews Sam Mulroy would give in terms of their progress, they would see this as this is where they belong. They're working towards a goal. They're sticking to a process. They work very hard. So I'd say they feel this is nearly more their opportunity than actually Meath. Meath surprised Dublin, but Louth in terms of where they see themselves in terms of progression, this is an opportunity. And if you can remember that 2010 with Paddy Keane and all the boys back then, Louth actually deserved to win that game.
They did.
They actually deserved to win that game. And they were a very good team back then. They're a very good team now. I think it'd be very difficult to beat Louth. I know we're excited about Meath this morning, but Louth are a serious outfit with serious players.
Well, yeah, and come here, like they haven't won the Leinster title since what, 1957, something like that, Rory. So you know, this is not just an opportunity for Louth, for this team. It's an opportunity for the whole county to go to Croke Park, to have a chance at silverware. Yes, there's been league success, but having a Leinster title would mean something completely different to this team.
Like, I mean, when you think about that there, Jacqui, 1957, I think did they go on and win the All-Ireland after that?
Yeah.
In 1957. So, yeah. And a bit of useless information. There was a certain Harrington playing for Cork that day, which was Padraig's father, played for Cork in that All-Ireland final. And but look, that's by the by.
That's a lovely piece of useful
lovely piece of useless
good golfer, Rory.
Yeah, good golfer, exactly. Yeah. But look, it's they've been excellent all through this year's league campaign. They had a couple of down periods. Cork beat them well below in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, but they were missing a lot of players. But they've got everybody pretty much back. Ryan Byrne's playing excellent football. They've, as Dessie said, really solid midfield. Tommy Dernan, you know, playing out of his skin. So like they match really well. The two teams, I think, match exceptionally well, and like it makes just for an unbelievable game. But again, it shouldn't be forgotten. I do think Dessie makes a very important point here. Kildare are also improving. Like Kildare contributed to a superb contest as well yesterday, and look, they were just beaten by the better team on the day. That happens. That's sport. But the big problem for them will be the buy-in now that they might not necessarily get for the Tailteann Cup. And Dessie, you've been there and you know, playing in that competition. The fear now that might be there for some lads might drift off to America. You hope that that doesn't happen, because I think they are building, they are improving. They're going to be playing Division 2 football again next year. So it's an opportunity for them to extend their season and to really layer on, as they say now in the modern game, and to try and kind of build a panel that can actually go and compete and challenge for Leinster in the way that Louth and Meath have.
Yeah, no, to be fair, the point about the All-Ireland series, like Kildare at this point probably go in as favourites to win the Tailteann Cup. Like that, the favourites, if they were to win the Tailteann Cup, they're guaranteed All-Ireland series football next year, which is a serious carrot for them. Brian Flanagan, to be fair to the man, is somebody that's very well liked in Kildare. The players obviously like him. I've worked with him myself. He's a really solid guy. I think what Kildare are trying to achieve is a project. I don't think Brian would take too kindly if he heard some lads are just whipping off to America and stuff like that. If you're trying to build something and trying to create a culture and an environment to be successful, I can't imagine a Kildare footballer would be let get on a plane and head and play football in America, because if they're being really serious about what they're trying to achieve in Kildare, and they are serious about it, the players need to stick together. They need to go out, need to put the best foot forward and win that Tailteann Cup, and I suppose cement a very good season for them with their promotion.
Do you know, Dessie, the difficulty is, though, the carrot of what was in front of them, because it was like that was an incredibly close game as well, which they could have easily won, and found themselves in a Leinster final and in an All-Ireland series among the top teams in Ireland. And suddenly, in the space of that couple of minutes where the game slips away from them, they're now playing second-tier football and might not even win it because of the calibre of some of the other teams, like your own Westmeath in there. And I heard Luke Loughlin saying, we're all committed, we're fully going to try and win this thing. You'd like to think that Kildare will have the same feeling, but that doesn't mean that this morning they're not feeling a little bit sore because of what was potentially there in front of them.
Yeah, but listening to Brian Flanagan, he always references, like, his solution to the problem is not going to be, we're going to win Leinster in, straight away. We're going to get promotion. We're going to achieve everything that we want to achieve really quickly. He's more than aware that where he got them was in Division 3 at a low ebb, confidence on the floor. Maybe it might be actually, Jacqui, it might be a blessing in disguise that Kildare aren't in the All-Ireland series, because you're going into pots with, like, if you look at C3, Dublin, Monaghan, Roscommon, Tyrone, like there's danger lying everywhere in the All-Ireland series. You're not going to get soft games in terms of their development. If they were playing in Croke Park, if they were winning matches live on TV, if they got the All-Ireland or the Tailteann Cup All-Ireland series, that's a massive prize. Like, that would be a very, very successful season one for Brian Flanagan, knowing that their confidence has improved, they're performing at a certain level, and now you can say, right, let's push on. Like, the development is going a little bit slower maybe than people want, but at the same time, it might be more of a long-term viable option.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. One last question on Dublin then before we move on to Ulster. Paul Flynn said on the Sunday game last night he doesn't think Dublin are All-Ireland contenders after that performance based on what he's seeing this year. Do you see a way that they can navigate through a path now as third seeds in an All-Ireland series to getting themselves in the mix to win an All-Ireland?
Absolutely. Maybe not to win an All-Ireland. To be fair, I do feel, Jacqui, this year more than anyone, everyone's having a look at Sam Maguire going, we can achieve this. Like, everyone's having a go at it. Like, to be fair, I do feel that the opportunities are there. Armagh have presented the picture. They weren't favourites last year. They came from Division 2. They won the All-Ireland with, and I do feel everybody's looking at that case and going, that could be us. Monaghan could say the same. Like, Kerry now are back in the mix. Cork were very good in terms of their performance in the Munster final. You look at Armagh, Galway, again, they'll say their opportunities are there. They can go through it. But, like, Dublin were missing Merchant, they were missing Murphy, they were missing Bugler. Bugler's a serious player for Dublin. Like, to be fair, Merchant's one of the best cornerbacks in the country, and Keane Murphy has proven himself. If they can get the players back, and it depends as well. I do think, like, looking at that first half, Stephen Cluxton was under pressure with the dynamics of that pitch. Going on the road is tougher for Dublin now than it was. Like, they were always, 5 to 10 points better than most teams. Even if they're under pressure, they could dig their way out of it. They will be properly tested when they go around the country this year. But at the same time, when they're in Croke Park, they're a different animal. I would imagine, Jacqui, to be fair, they're going to get out. 3 teams get out of the group. They're going to at least get out of the group and be back in Croke Park competing.
Still think they're in the mix, Rory?
No, I don't. I think the Smalls will obviously improve. It was their first game of football in a long time at county level, so there would be a bit of rustiness there. And John was taken off. No, look, they will absolutely get better, and they will give them a little bit more solidity in a defensive capacity, because they were in fierce trouble, and we saw poor Conor Tyrrell getting, taken off very early. And look, Meath that was more to do with how well Meath were playing, but I can't see. I think they have too many problems. I think they've got a goalkeeper in his mid-40s, legend of the game, probably the greatest ever. Was it time to move on? I don't know. Maybe it was.
And Rory, on that, just like Stephen didn't play in Wicklow, which on reflection, he looked rusty yesterday.
He did. In that first half, let's be honest, they were all over the shop on their own kick out. I mean,
would that come down to management in terms of like?
Well, it's a good question. It's a good question.
I don't know. There was a question at the time: was he fit?
That's the
he
question,
seemed
Jack.
to be carrying something, because and there was just such a vacuum of knowledge around it at the time. But at that stage, they were on their 4th goalkeeper, so there was clearly an issue.
But also, you've Kieran Kilkenny, who's like the fireman at this stage, trying to put fires out. So they're shifting him out to midfield. Is he a midfielder? He could probably fill that role with his ease at club level. Is he an inter-county midfielder? He's probably we know he's a better half forward, centre forward, like a leader of an attack. They have issues there.
They've issues on the middle, big time. Yeah,
they have issues at midfield. There's
if only there was someone who could solve it.
who, by the way, the word is, might be getting the phone call from America, but like there's a mobility issue at midfield. There's ball winning ability at midfield. They don't have the same cut and thrust up front. They're probably dependent on Con O'Callaghan digging them out more often than not. Cormac Costello came in yesterday. Maybe he was carrying a knock. You would imagine he will start most days. They have too many issues, Jacqui. They won't be winning the All-Ireland this year. I just can't see it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if the All-Ireland winner might come from the other side of the pack, where you've got Tyrone, Armagh, Donegal all showing their hands this weekend. Maybe Armagh more than Tyrone in that game, Dessie, because even just chatting to Enda McGinley last night, his sense was Tyrone there was something missing. I don't know what it was. I mean, if we see it later in the year, I don't know. But as I said to him, I thought they were better than what we saw on Saturday.
It's so true. Yet there were 2 points up, heading for injury.
How did that happen?
Darren McCurry was just electric. So if he got a sniff of it at all, he was getting his scores. Even Kieran McGeeney is so lucky, because he kicked this flag. Apparently he kicked the flag. The free was on the 14 or whatever it was, 20-yard line, brought back out, and then Darren McCurry kicks it over for a 2-pointer. So it goes to 20-18 to Tyrone at that point. And you're looking going, that is haven't seen it before. And I'd say Kieran McGeeney wasn't too happy. But
he didn't look it.
To be fair to the man, if you're on the sideline and you're frustrated and kicking a flag, you're never going to think it's going to correlate to your team giving away a free, and then Darren McCurry's kicking a 2-pointer. And I just felt the whole way through the game, Armagh looked so superior in terms of everything that they were trying to achieve. But in saying that, it just shows
fell over the line with a 1-point win, with a handy enough free at the death.
Yeah, I felt sorry for Peter Hart, because he was coming in with the hands out to the side and ran, and the player kind of just bumped the player. Possibly was a free, but at the same time, it was one of them frees where he was very, very unfortunate, and that's what won the game for Armagh. But if you think about it, Armagh haven't won an Ulster, Jacqui, in over 20 years around that, which is incredible. I think actually Kieran McGeeney has a brutal record in Ulster in terms of, I think his first 9 years, I think he lost in the first round of Ulster, which is an incredible stat. But that might mean in the past. I do think the buy-in from the players, they're so strategic in what they're doing. They have a great culture there. If you look at Kieran Donny, Conleth Gilligan, they're so united, they're so collected. They have a great spirit in that team. They've Grugan playing well, Oisin Connery. They've players all over the place playing well, a big panel of players, and they rightly deserve that win. And it just shows you where they're at in terms of progress. For some reason, people don't give Armagh the credit that they deserve. They are a serious team, and I think people now are starting to realise it's not just a flash in the pan. This is built on substance, and this is built on quality, and they're very, very united.
Yeah. Do you know, the thing is, I think, Rory, everybody said they're going to get their acid test against Tyrone and then we'll know about them. Well, they got their acid test against Tyrone. They were the better team for the entire game. And as you say, they managed to fall over the line. But I think they proved their class. And if they do it again against Donegal, I think the questions that people are asking about this Armagh team are going to have to be put to bed at some point, because they are delivering week on week now. And it has to be said, without their full squad still.
Yeah, and arguably missing their best player, certainly one of their best players, who's decided to take a year out. It is a peculiar one that there doesn't seem to be that sort of universal popularity or credit or opinion or high opinion of Armagh for whatever reason. Is it because the All-Ireland that they won last year was won under the old rules? The final really didn't kind of, I suppose, trigger people's imagination or tickle people's fancy. It was a poor game. But look, they've shown again. And Ethan Rafferty himself was kind of saying at one stage that these new rules would make him redundant. I think it was anything but. You guys did a fantastic piece last night on the show. It was a brilliant piece. I mean, what? I think his value is actually increased, the stock around what he can deliver, because his kickouts they're kind of Cluxton-esque. That's the best compliment you could pay him. They can get scores from everywhere. Ross McQuillan, I mean, Dessie talked about the depth in their squad, the panel. Charlie Oak-Burns, who maybe had lost his place, was outstanding. They were the better side. In fairness to Tyrone, you would have to give them a huge amount of credit as well for the way it was a very high quality game. It was really, really high quality by two extremely good sides. And I think Armagh will be the better for it. And I think it'll set them up a lot better going into this Ulster final than what Donegal got from down on the other side.
Yeah, I agree, actually, Dessie. That's probably the feeling I got, because Donegal, from early on, they were coasting. And I don't know if they've been road tested enough, maybe.
I totally agree. Just watching the game, it just felt like they were always an arm's length away from down. And there was no real threat of them losing the game. But at the same time, I totally agree. That's their third week in a row, isn't it? Playing
but it was the same against Derry. They were never going to lose the game. It was always arm's length.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that I looked at the piece that you did last night defensively, it does look like there's pockets in that zonal defence where teams can run straight at the heart of Donegal defence. But at the same time, Paddy McBurty's back playing well. Michael Murphy, whatever he's drinking up there. So there's a banana drink up there in Donegal, and I think it must be something to do with that. Or there's a football special as well up in Donegal.
Football special.
Football special.
But in fairness to Jim, they're totally reinvigorated. They're very accomplished now, to be fair to them. They have quality all over the pitch. Like Darragh O'Beal is a player that's kicking points from downtown regularly. They've Thompson, they've a load of lads that'll kick points. Morgan, obviously a classy player. It will be. I was at it was Ulster final last year, was Donegal and Armagh in Clones. I was at that game. We were playing Armagh, and it was electric. The atmosphere. Clones is such a great town for an Ulster final, but that will be another absorbing Ulster final, because it's two teams that actually fancy winning it, and then the obvious thing that Ciarán McGeeney would love to get his hands on the Anglo-Celt Cup.
Yeah, and I think for both of them, because of Jim McGuinness's record in Ulster, Rory, I think he's proven over the years how hard he's gone after it and what it would mean to his team. And similarly last year, just the momentum that it gave them, albeit I know they didn't go all the way to the All-Ireland, but they were always on an upward trajectory. I think for Armagh, the nugget is there because of the reasons you've said, that maybe they haven't been getting the love from people. I think this is set up perfectly.
Yeah, this is a fantastic Ulster final. The three of the four provincial finals, and it was just a pity that Cork really didn't get over the line. But three, like the provincial championships are alive and well. And I hate having to say that, but three of the four provincial finals have so much intrigue attached to them, and they will be all superb occasions. This one, no less so. There's a real good rivalry being built up now between Donegal and Armagh, between Geezer and Jim. And I think, given the fact that they know they're going to avoid each other in the round robin stages of the group, so they effectively, the next time they'll meet will be a knockout game much further down the line. Oh, this will be Full Metal Jacket. Looking forward to it.
Oh man, me too. We'll get into that one a little bit closer when we get to it, but we'll have to leave it there for now. But Dessie, I think the smile on everybody's face says this morning, football is flying.
Flying.
To be fair, there's a lot of people giving out about the rules. I think as a manager, I'd be giving out a bit, if I'm being honest. That it's just the consistency.
But who cares about them?
But who cares about the managers? That was last year. I'm a supporter. I'm sitting on the couch watching the games, and I'm absolutely loving the product that I'm seeing. There is a bit of craziness at times with consistency, but to be the spectacle of Gaelic football. I was looking back at some scores even last year, like 12-11, 12-10, 14-9. Like the scores was brutal in terms of, but like the scores are ramped right up now. And it's not as crazy as it was in the league. If you looked at the games, you wouldn't know there was rules in place there yesterday, Jacqui. Do you know the three up top and that? It's very rarely infringed upon now. So the players are getting their understanding of it. And I think Jim Gavin actually said that to us at a briefing. He said, like, kids grow up learning the offside rule in soccer. It's not a big thing because they've learned it over a period of time. And it's not, he says it's exactly the same with three up top. And already I think it's becoming more established. The game is exciting. Yeah. People are enjoying what they're seeing, and football. And look, Dublin are gone. Meath are in. Meath Loud Leinster final. You couldn't write it.
Oh God, wait till the Dubs hear this. They'll love you for that. But anyway, look, we'll leave it there. We will look ahead to that Leinster final over the next couple of weeks. But Dessie, for the moment, thanks a million for being with us.
Thank you.
Give in. He hits it. It's over the bar. Oh, holy Moses.
Okay, Shane is with us now to chat hurling. And what a weekend, Shane. The All-Ireland champions beaten. Waterford are back. Maybe they were never fully gone away, but I think they've proven to us yesterday that whatever they were doing while everybody was taking points off each other last weekend was worthwhile, because that was a performance for the ages.
Yeah, it was, Jacqui. And I think, I suppose the first thing we talk about with Clare and Waterford is people maybe talk about who Clare were missing, maybe rather than who Waterford had. And what I mean is, like, say, first thing people say is no Conor Cleary, no Tony Kelly, no Shane O'Donnell, and you go, yeah, look, massive losses, all of them, to any group, they'd be a massive loss. But then, like, say, if you flip it over and you look who Waterford have now, and the bench they have, and the squad they have, and the hop they're getting off their subs when they're coming on, and the internal competition that you have in there now, and even just been down watching them in the league, albeit, it wasn't a challenge for them really, in the sense that they'd hoped it would be against Offaly. But like for 45, 50 minutes, they looked really sharp. Physically, they look in as good a condition as I've seen in a long time. Even if you take Padraig Fitzgerald there, like how physically strong he's gone. As a marker, like I got him confused even with Dessie Hutchison a couple times in that game. That's just, I suppose, the strength and conditioning that he's put into his body there over the last few months to get up to a level where he can be very, very competitive in regards to 50-50 balls. And he's just one example, like, of loads of things that are going on. So the other thing for me, Jacqui, is, and I looked back through a few interviews just to make sure I got this right. What Stephen Bennett is doing to even be able to function in his everyday life, let alone be man of the match for Waterford, is unbelievable. And for people who don't know, like, this guy has had 4 hip operations. He had to get a redone when he was at 17. He got redone when he was 20. He's had keyhole surgery. He's had to have bone shaved off. In November 2023, he was told he's no cartilage left in his hips. He has arthritis in his hips, and his right hip is out of socket. Jesus. Like, this is something you might say, like, if your grandmother or your grandfather told you that, you'd say, God, you know what are you going to do? Like, this guy he obviously doesn't train a lot. I think that's pretty clear, and Peter Queally would have made that. To go back to when we were hurling, a similar guy would have been Michael Finlay for Kilkenny. Michael Finlay wouldn't have trained a lot either because the issues he had as well. But Cody knew, I suppose, what he was going to get out of him on the big days. And I think all the Waterford lads know what they're going to get out of Stephen Bennett. But if there's just one guy you have to single out, it's that, because I just had to go back through it, just make sure I was right with what I was saying about him. He's some leader, and like, say, to give everything for the jersey is an understatement for Stephen Bennett. Now, they're all doing it in Waterford, and I've said it, I really mean this, that probably need to give Waterford more kudos for the performance they gave rather than what Clare came with to Walsh Park. They'll be absolutely buzzing this week, but like, what Stephen Bennett is doing is unbelievable. And, you know, it'll be when he steps away from hurling and from sport and he has to get things done, and maybe people meet him in 10, 15 years' time. Like, he is giving everything for that jersey and for the cause. And I look, we always say it's an amateur sport, but you know what I mean? Like what these lads are giving up and doing. And we said at Jacqui, we were talking about it the weekend, there's no real downtime for them now. They're giving everything, and the performances they're putting in. But Billy Nolan immense inside the goals. Like,
superb.
Billy Nolan played sweeper out the field against Tip a couple of years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy can hurl, like, you know what I mean? He's very comfortable on the ball. Mark Fitz, I've said it about Mark Fitz several times. I do think this guy has potential to be a Ken McGrath type figure for Waterford. He's unbelievable. Jamie Barron, excellent. Stephen Bennett, as we said, the impact, the hop you got off Mikey Kiley. Just think Waterford are in a great place now. And, you know, I've heard, listened to a lot of their interviews, and I just feel that this year they feel it's about time now we just got out of Munster. And, like, is it Waterford's best day as like one of their best days performance-wise maybe since the 2020 All-Ireland semi-final? Like, you know what I mean, as regards the whole group hurling really well, by far the best team. You know, I think it's not far off it, and I think they'll be absolutely buzzing this week. And for Clare, look, it is what it is now for Clare and Tip, Jacqui. It's knockout hurling. It's reeling in the ear stuff, knockout hurling in May, lose, and, you know,
such a massive game, yeah.
Like, that's what's at stake now.
Yeah. And I think that's fair for Clare, but for Waterford, Rory, Shane is right. It's the opportunity, because we even kind of said this when we were looking ahead to the weekend, that with everybody having taken 1 point off each other last weekend, Waterford were sort of in the hot seat, and it was a case of what are they going to do? We knew Walsh Park was a fortress. We knew that they'd be going after it, but suddenly 2 points to them feels like almost a defeat to everybody else. I think Waterford are on the front foot here, and they know it.
They've a great chance. Like, I mean, we know 4 points will generally get you out of Munster. So they're halfway there, and they have 3 opportunities now to complete the job, including a home fixture, which is coming up next. And we mentioned before about how the way the fixtures fall for you is a key part in how your season can transpire and how it can all unfold. And the fact that they're going back to back now, 6 days is a short turnaround, given how frenetic and how physical the games can be at the minute. But I'm sure, like, the fact that it's Limerick coming up next, that is, like, Shane mentioned when we were on last week about fellas having to take today off. I presume that's probably what a lot of the Waterford players have had to do today, is particularly Stephen Bennett. And on Stephen Bennett, by the way, there's a couple of things there, just when Shane just listed off the catalogue of injuries. I would hope that when the fella finishes his career, that he's looked after in a big way by the GAA. Whatever medical, whatever surgeries, whatever he needs is provided for him. Absolutely the top of the range stuff, because that's the very least the man deserves. The other thing I'd love to ask you about with him, Shane, he's the most unorthodox looking player at times in his skill levels. Just the way he can take a ball. Like if he's competing for a 50-50 and a ball is flying towards him, you're saying this is definitely going to spill. And it just sticks. And whatever way he does it, even his striking style is
well, I suppose you'd call it an underhand strike.
It's a way, you're kind of saying, like, this is, I've never seen this before. What am I supposed to do with this guy?
Like, it's gas, like in the underhand striking thing, I suppose. When the kids are younger, and I even see it myself, my own kids, if they're right-handed, you want their dominant side to be their right side. But like, if I name 2 of the best ball strikers in the game, Ronan Maher, Stephen Bennett, and they're both underhanded strikers, I'll say, as regards right hand on top, striking off the left.
Yeah.
And I suppose if it works for you, you know what I mean?
It's like golf.
Oh, left-handed, don't put your left hand on top. And then you're like, well, Keane Lynch isn't too bad, and TJ Reid's not too bad. And, you know, JJ Delaney wasn't too bad, and you know, even Jake Morris and these lads nowadays. So I just think whatever works for you, go for it in terms of hurling anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I do, but sorry, Jacqui, like from their perspective now, I had a little text conversation with Wes, who you work with, like, and so this isn't after the fact. I actually said I fancy them on Sunday, and I did. I thought that they would win. There's a togetherness about them. I'm a big fan of the manager being from within the county. I think they're playing for him. I think there's a genteel earthiness about Peter Queally that I think will get the best out of them. They have unbelievable quality. Their position in league hurling was a false one, really. And yeah, they could be the joker in this Munster pack now, and they could be the absolute wild card here that nobody saw coming. And what a game again now next Saturday.
Yeah. And that is huge for them because of the opportunity that's there against a Limerick team who we actually don't really know how they're travelling. And I think that's probably the big question, Shane, about we've seen a side to Waterford now, but we've seen a very patchy Tipperary. We'll get into the specifics of yesterday in a minute. Limerick not maybe looking their full true selves last weekend. And a Clare team who are suddenly on the back foot, but they're All-Ireland champions. So there's just so many unknowns still. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
There is, yeah. Still don't know, like, you know, and like, I suppose maybe it was the first time in a while people were turning up the Munster Championship to watch football.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, but like, I suppose it can't be unbelievable every week, but like,
That's it.
It is what it is, I suppose. It's not going to be, we still love it, but I say Waterford, great buzz now this week. I mean, no bother recover this week, mentally and everything. You're absolutely buzzing to get to do whatever they have to do today in regard to recovery hubs. Get back tomorrow night, back to Walsh Park. Pitch looking unbelievable there yesterday, as was the park down in Cork. So there'll be a great buzz there. I think there'll be no bother get those lads up. You'll probably go with the same team, barring maybe someone picked up a niggle or an injury, and you're looking at the impact off your bench as well. So, you know, you don't really have any internal game or anything like that to worry about this week in Waterford. You're just getting bodies right to go again. In regards to Limerick, I just think you're going to see a completely different Limerick the next day. And I just think it's because positionally, I don't think you're going to see the same team. I think that Kyle Hayes goes back 6. I think Will O'Donoghue goes midfield, probably with Adam English. I think Colin O'Neill starts somewhere, whether that's the half forward line or the half back line.
So Keane Lynch at 11?
And I think Keane Lynch goes to 11 then.
Yeah.
And now we're asking questions then of Ty de Burke. Can he sit and do that role? Can Darrell Lyons maybe sacrifice a bit of his game? Does Paddy Levy do something different? Does Mark Fitz do a man-marking job on Garrod Hegarty? Things like this. But I just think you're going to see Limerick will be very, very different. I think Limerick are always kind of find their feet in the first round. And I think going down to Waterford now, like it's a bigger test now for them than what it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because of the way Waterford came at it. We see the panel they have. I'm sure the place will be absolutely packed and ready to begin.
Yeah. And even like, just to mention as well, and I know, look, he didn't really have any impact because he came on so late, but I just thought the symbolism and the symbolic nature of Ozzy coming on, like it was real. We are completely unified here. Everybody's on board. That's powerful now. I know, and he might improve and he might get more minutes the next time round. And we all know the quality that's there.
Yeah. And that's it. And Ozzy has that effect. Like it's you know, it's only 1 or 2 players in the group would get that roar. As I said to you before, Johnny Lahey's nickname in Tip for a while was Scream, because if he was warming up on the sideline, the crowd would go wild for Johnny Lahey. And Ozzy Gleeson gets that kind of buzz off the Waterford crowd, and the more Waterford crowd there, the louder the roar would be. And to use that correctly is a big thing for Peter Queally. Whether you're bringing him on, you're probably not bringing him on maybe like if you're down 6 or 7 points, you know what I mean? I'd say you're bringing him on when the thing is close or you've pushed on and now you need this buzz from the crowd, and it's worth 2 or 3 points getting him on the pitch. So like I just think it's built for another cracker there next Saturday evening with Limerick and Waterford. The Clare lads, Jacqui, no more so the Tip lads. It's tough couple of weeks from now. Like, they'll regroup. Mightn't do it maybe tonight or tomorrow night. Get back, probably have an internal game just to see maybe where a few lads are at in terms of, are they going to start differently? Are lads going to come back from injury? What way are you going to go at it? Very little motivation needed for either team going to Ennis there in 2 weeks' time, because, as I said, like, the year is on the line.
It's a knockout game, isn't it?
I'll tell you what's on the line now in Ennis in a couple of weeks. This might sound maybe a bit out there. The year is on the line. Some lads' inter-county careers, okay? Maybe managers. There's so much on the line for both sides now, not for both Clare and Tip. Lads are coming towards the end of inter-county careers, okay? Managers are there for a few years now, and you don't know what way the result will go, what way that will dictate what happens for managers in the future. And that's just the nature of this game. I think Brian Lohan has done great things with Clare, and I think Liam Cahill has done great things with Tip, and I mean that. But, like, if results don't go your way, lads, as you know well, this is a results-driven thing.
You only get so many goals.
If someone gets turned over next week and they get knocked out in the second week in May, it could help make decisions up for county boards or, management selection committees to say you're either in or you're out the following year. And that's
do you know the difficulty though? Because in that pressure, Shane, is Darren McCarthy gets sent off before the ball is even thrown in and the game is over. Like, effectively, that's only going to end one way. So it's not even a contest then. They get hammered out the gate, and everybody understands that happens as a direct consequence of that. The previous week, they've shown so much battle that they're taking on a Limerick team, and there's so much talk about them. And suddenly now, within a week, you're saying, jobs could be gone, all this kind of stuff. Like, it's very, very fine margins, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I know that might sound a bit harsh for me to say, but I'm just being honest. True. I'm being honest here, like, to say that if, whoever loses in 2 weeks' time in Ennis, there's a lot on the line for everybody. And, like, the thing with Darren McCarthy, we'll talk about Tip and Cork team, that goes on the whole time. Dara just got caught. And that's just the way it is, like, you know what I mean? It'll be a big learning for him. Great to see Noel even going out, bringing him in off the field. Such a kind of a daddy figure there to the boys as well. And that, like, Tip probably went at it something similar the week before with Limerick, Jacqui. You know what I mean? In regards, there was, a lot.
Is it that you said there, right, that everybody does it and he got caught? So can I ask both of you for your opinion on this then, right? Is it right that it's punished because it's the wrong thing, and so it might stop everybody from doing it? Or do we want a situation where we just say, lads, that's happening all over the field, let it go?
Oh, no, it's right, it's punished, yeah. Dara will know he done wrong. Like, he did, like, even the strike, you can see the strike in action and everything. I like, some people text me, like, saying, a yellow card was done. No, it was a red, like, it was a red. And everything changed. The atmosphere on the ground, everything changed there yesterday as soon as that happened. Because, like, Cork, I'll tell you about Cork. Cork are unreal playing against 14 and maybe find it hard then when they have the 14, as we've seen in Ennis, like, right? But they are so comfortable on the ball. Like, the full back line were absolutely wrecked for Tip yesterday by half time, because they're able to get that ball to that delivery zone. They have extra time on it. They're all so comfortable on the ball. So trying to defend against Jacqui it's very, very hard. Go back to your point. Do I think, like, tis like Anton, right? If you're doing it and getting away with it, which is going on, what do you do? Like, I mean, they're all big players, like, they're all big lads. But what Dara did yesterday was wrong, and, like, he rightly got punished for it, like, and it's a big learning for him. He's a young guy, it's well documented, but, like, it is going on the whole time. It's just some players are getting caught, some players aren't. Like, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, Rory. I think some people are getting punished, some people are not, and I don't know, does this weekend change the game for everybody now? Because I think you're unlikely to see a similar scenario happen on Saturday night, let's say.
I don't know, Jacqui, about that.
Do you not think so? I think now the fear is going to be there that managers will be saying, lads, they're watching.
Well, let's say Tip and Clare now, Rory. The first thing them two linesmen are watching is full forward line and full back line running in. 100%, definitely will be.
But how do you stop it? Like, it is.
Will you stop it by what you did yesterday?
Yeah, look, I accept that, but my issue here is very unseemly. Like, Shane played at the highest level, Shane, and once the ball is thrown in, hurling is a very physical game. It's a combat sport, right? And is there really a necessity for a lot of this posturing that's going on before the ball is even thrown in. I find it, I know people say, oh, look at this, and there's scraps breaking out everywhere. I don't know. It just, to me, it looks silly, actually. And it's now resulted in a very, very young player pent up on adrenaline, making a very unfortunate but foolish decision, and potentially now getting 1 game, maybe a 2-game suspension. Like, to my mind, there's a cultural thing that has elicited that type of reaction from a very young player and a very inexperienced player who made a simple mistake. Is it even necessary, all of this? And to say, right, shake hands, once the ball is in, yeah, we'll flake away. I don't understand this stuff that's going on beforehand. I don't know whether it's a specific thing with Cork teams and whoever they're playing, but I think, Shane, you were saying it was similar with the Limerick Tip situation the week before, wasn't it?
I was, yeah. And that was very evident, like what was going on. I was at the Tip Limerick match as well, you know, lads went in, and I suppose you're trying to lay down a marker, but laying down a marker and, you know, your team being down to 14 are two different things. I actually don't think it'll go on again now.
I don't either.
I think it's a massive lesson learned for Tip, especially. I think, you know, be aggressive, go in, shake hands, be aggressive and everything. Like, there was stuff went on there, like, say, in throw-ins, like, they're like, because he wouldn't be back behind the 45 a few years ago, like there literally could be 15 or 16 lads in there for the throw-in. And, like, sure, you can't send off everybody. But it's going on. But I suppose what happened yesterday, you know, it was a deserved red card. I think there'll be a big lesson learned for everyone. We don't really see, like, we haven't seen it in many more matches now. Like, to be fair, like, I think it's not really going on as much in a lot of other games, but I think it'll be a big learning curve for everyone, because now it's going to be highlighted. No more so than the head high tackles, lads, was massively highlighted as well. And, you know, that doesn't seem to be happening as much now in Championship hurling. I don't think we don't be talking about it as much. So I think this is just another learning. Yeah, be physical, absolutely be aggressive, you know, shake hands, few shoulders, few dunks, do what you need to do, but, you know, get on with it in. Because I tell you what, right? Down in Ennis, right, the week before, Tony Kelly and Mark Coleman absolutely gave it to each other. Neither of them went down, okay? There's a bit of feigning injury going on now in Walsh Park yesterday with one of the best young hurlers in the country, right, in form of Adam Hogan. And I heard the boys calling it out, and I think they were right. I think we need to stop talking about Adam Hogan feigning injury and start talking about him about the great hurler that he is again. Because that we don't want to see that coming in.
Well, there's the boy who cried wolf. Like, there is eventually, and referees all talk. Like, your reputation then could precede you. You might even, you know.
So they're going to be watching that now with Adam, maybe. Like, Adam, like, we need to talk about Adam the hurler rather than Adam like guy feigning injury. I think that's what people need to get back to, or that's what Adam needs to get back to himself. He would know that. And that's what refs are going to be looking out for, and refs are going to be looking out for this thing. But to go back to the Tony Kelly, Mark Coleman thing, I stand to be corrected, but I'm fairly sure on it from people who are at the game. They just got on with it.
Yeah.
Like, this goes on the whole time. Like, I remember JJ Delaney and John O'Brien, absolutely 6 inches into the ribs, as hard as you can. And them two boys stood back at each other, and then they looked each other square in the eye and say, right, let's do this up. And they got on with it. So this is going on for a long, long time. It's just Dara did it yesterday. He got caught. He got his duly deserved red card. It won't stamp it out, but lads need to be aware now that it is going to be watched out for by the linesmen. And with them being able to come in so far in on the field now, Rory, they are going to be able to see it better than what they were before. That'll be my take on it.
Yeah, because it was the linesman that spotted the incident with.
Yeah. And I think, look, on a more broad point though, Shane, it's the impact that it has on the Munster Championship, because as you rightly said there, it's not often that the Munster Championship is overshadowed by the Leinster Football Championship. I think it was a first in my household yesterday when my husband texted me, can you send me your GAA Go link so that I can watch it here at home because I'm turning off the hurling. A first time ever, because it just, I think now maybe Cork are that they have a little bit of breathing space. You kind of get a sense they're going to be one of the top 3. Now, anything can still happen, but I do think the fight now between Clare and Tip feels like knockout, and whatever happens next Saturday is going to be a big shout between Waterford and Limerick in terms of that top 3 and who gets out now. It does feel like more of a scrap than maybe it was last weekend.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And look, it still makes it so interesting now. Like, say, on May the 3rd at 8:30 p.m, and we'll know the result of Waterford and Limerick. And if Waterford have won that game, like, it just makes it so interesting, like, for everybody else then after that. But look, it'll still be all to play for come the last day of it. there'll still be something on the line. Someone could still get into a Munster final. Someone could still get knocked out. And I suppose that's the joy of it. And look, like all in all, Leinster Championship, you know, shaded it last weekend as well in terms of entertainment and excitement, I would say, you know.
Yeah, I actually
draws are killer as well, Jacqui, because we know scoring averages now could become absolutely massive when the head-to-head criteria is subtracted as a differential in terms of deciding who progresses.
Yeah.
So, like if Tipperary and Clare were to draw, and which is not beyond the realms of possibility. So like there's a huge amount still to play for, and I think RT have that Tip Clare game that'll be massive.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Leinster, I think, was probably a different beast this weekend, Shane, because it felt like, to me anyway, certainly Dublin, Wexford just had everything, just the hallmarks of controversies, brilliant hurling, two teams really going at it, and like in a lot of ways that was actually the hurling game of the weekend.
Oh, it was, yeah. In terms of everything, I was watching it, like, and it just, I suppose, it is a pity that we're not talking more about the hurling, and the main talk about obviously will be the controversial call with the ball, and like the ball not crossing the line again. And I suppose Jacqui and me and you were at the weekend together, like, and that was what we spoke about again. And like, if somebody has access to that and can just call the ref on it, like, and just say, ball didn't cross the line. I have it here, I've watched it a few times. Go back there. It's not a goal. Because it's a draw at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just a momentum shift. I understand Keith Rossiter's frustration with it. Like his lads had given everything. You know, they're without one of their main guys as well due to suspension. And they just come at it, and I suppose they were in the ascendancy, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you turned off the match for 5 or 6 minutes the other day, you thought, you know, Wexford after beating Dublin there, they're like 7 or 8 points up. And next thing, space of 5 minutes, Dublin get 3 goals. But that does suck the life out of you, like those kind of things. When you're on the pitch as well, when something happens that you know was wrong and you know could easily be fixed. And that's where, for me, we're not on about VAR, we're not on about anything like this. You know, Hawkeye was even slow in Semple Stadium last week. We're just on about if someone can see that, like if the comms on the telly, so Noel Connors was doing the comms with the GA Plus, and if the lads on the telly have access to it, someone else has, and they could just go to the ref and say, come here, that wasn't a goal.
But you know, though, Shane, even if people are reticent to start taking in technology, and I understand that is, you know, lots of people will have that opinion, there are 2 umpires looking at it, and both of whom, like listening to Keith Rossiter afterwards, he says that Mark Fanning told him that the 2 umpires said the ball didn't cross the line. So we don't even need technology for that decision. There's 2 fellas looking at it that can clearly say, sorry, no goal here, but the referee, for whatever reason, told them to put up the flag.
No. But that's worse than, like, isn't it? Like,
isn't it?
When the umpires say it didn't cross the line, when the goalie's
that's
there.
Literally their job.
So we all make mistakes, or like players, officials, everyone makes mistakes, and just, you know, put the hands up and just say, no, got that one wrong, wasn't a goal. The whole dynamic of the game changes, like. Yeah. And like, you know, if it's a reason, for whatever reason, that Wexford didn't get out of Leinster, or let's say catastrophically, Wexford found themselves in relegation, and like, you know, and it is down to a score difference, or it's down to something like this, and what's the one thing everyone will go back to? It won't be how they played or all like that. It'll be the time the penalty was given, or the goal was given, and the ball didn't cross the line. And look,
and do you know,
you can solve it easily. Like,
and do you know what?
It's actually worth the umpire saying it.
Well, that's it. Because you know what would frustrate me most, Rory, is the ball is dead. You know, there's a puck out comes after it, so he has an opportunity to say if a ball is in or it's not. But once they let the play continue, obviously, and so then he blows it back. So there would have been a natural break. Like, it just.
Yeah, look, he's very good referee, by the way, again. And I think, look, all the referees in there, they are all doing their best. I think Henry Shefflin made a really good point on the TV yesterday, in that it should have been obvious to maybe the officials when Mark Fanning went with a roll lift as opposed to a sort of a flick away, that like the goalkeeper himself was comfortable that the ball had not crossed the line, because if it was veering over the line, he's going to be much more desperate. He's going to be much more desperate in terms of how he tries to clear it. So the fact that he went with a roll lift, showed that he had a level of confidence that it had not crossed the line. But look, these are the little intricacies, I suppose, that like someone as astute as Henry Shefflin might spot. Henry would be a good referee, actually. I'd say you'd be able to flake away in his matches too. But look, it's an unfortunate thing, and on such little decisions a season can turn. But it was a superb contest. What a game of hurling this was, and like a huge win for Dublin. They've put now back-to-back victories together against two teams that might have been also vying for that third Leinster spot. They will beat Antrim. Dublin are playing at a higher level than Antrim, and they will win that game. So they have an opportunity then to go after a Leinster final, and in Niall O'Callaghan's first year in charge, like that is a huge amount of progress.
Yeah. You know what, Rory, for them to do it without their go-to guy, Donald Burke, who has been their guy over and over.
And lost Owen O'Donnell, who's, in my view, wasting his time with the footballers. But like like you've lost two you sort of anchor points on your team, you know, that you don't
normally they would look to Donald Burke to say, Donald will get us out of it today, or Donald will do something. No more so maybe Wexford looked to each in, but other lads stepped up. John Heatherton steps up, and other guys stand up, and their midfielders are playing out of their skins at the moment. And it was a real kind of we're not a one-man show type thing for me for Dublin yesterday, to say that, you know, if we're down, lads, it's next guy up. And I think they proved that with their performances all over the field. You know, and
the big man on the edge of the square is back. Everyone's going for it now.
3-man full forward lines, route one. It's like time to see it, isn't it?
Yeah. What's your sense, Shane, of who's getting out of Leinster now? Because there's no doubt about it for Wexford, that's a dent. Rory's right. I think you feel that Dublin will go to Antrim in 2 weeks' time. They'll get a victory there. So Dublin are pretty much, you know, even with those big games to come towards the end, you still feel that they're in pole position there for one of the three spots. What's your sense about what else is happening around them?
Well, Kilkenny are obviously still the best. That's standard, like, because they were down 3 or 4 bodies going up there. I think there's two things happening with Corrigan Park for me, right? I think there is now a massive respect that Antrim get in Corrigan Park that maybe wasn't seen a few years ago. And I know he's a former teammate of mine and a good friend of mine, Darren. Like the job Darren did up there, like, is probably going to be more valued now. Like how he brought everyone together, how he had them hurling up there. Everybody now is going up there with, this is going to be some battle. There's no surprise element anymore now playing Antrim and Corrigan Park. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's what teams are giving them the respect when they play in Corrigan Park. I think Kilkenny went up there with that attitude to say, we got to get this job done, right? They might be defensive, we can score from distance, and that's evident when they're hitting the 30-point mark, you know, with just points alone. Like, so that's the way they went at it. Like, so Antrim for me, there it's just not happening. Whether, you know, lads don't have all their best players in the field due to injury or one thing and another. I think they're finding it harder this year than all the other years. Whatever it is, the buzz maybe isn't there. Not the same kind of energy in the group that we would see normally with them. So for me, it's nearly already a done deal that they will get relegated. And I know they can record this and they can stick it up on the wall if they want for motivation, because I have a great graw for Antrim. I have relations living up there as well, so I'm always up there, like, but I just don't think it's happening. And I think the standard, Jacqui and Leinster, has really gone up now this year, and I think that's where Antrim are losing out. So Kilkenny are number one, and then you could throw it into a hat then who's going to be in the Leinster final with them. Like, I think Galway, while they won that game handy, if you look at the 2 goals they got in the first half, totally against the run of play. Like, even Cathal Mannion's first goal, it was a mistake by the Offaly keeper, and like even the shot he took, it just scraped in over the line. His second goal, he's going for a point, it's quite clear, it just lobs into the net, and they are just demoralising. Like, you know, now everyone will say, yeah, but they're 14 men for the second half. Do you know what I mean? They just, like, Cork are so good at the extra man. Maybe Offaly are just not used to having the extra man. Maybe they didn't know how to maximise on it. Maybe they never have been in that situation before against a top-level team where they had an extra guy, how to deploy him, and Galway go out winning the match comfortably. But, like, I don't think the scoreline, I think those 2 goals were such a killer that whatever happened in the second half, Galway were going to win that game. And I don't think Offaly are as bad as the scoreline makes out to be, Jacqui, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I
think Galway had to get a response from Galway, and you did in some ways, because it couldn't get any worse from the Kilkenny game. They did get their win. job done, week off now, and then they go at it again in 2 weeks' time. I think if the momentum is with them and they keep going forward and they keep getting better, they will be everyone's choice for number 2. But I think Dublin are going to have a big thing to say in this, and I think they'll look at that Offaly game, they'll look at the Kilkenny game as well, and when they play Galway, they'll be like, this is how we can go after them, this is how we can get something out of it. And I think that game is going to be a big determination in who's going to be in the Leinster final, whoever wins between Dublin and Galway, in my opinion. And look, Wexford are hurling well. They are hurling well. Like they were unlucky with a couple of decisions going against them in Parnell. They will get Jack O'Connor back. You know, he'll be back the next day. He'll be a massive push on as well. So right now, Jacqui does call it. I think you're looking at Kilkenny, potentially Dublin, and then I think you're in for a serious battle there for a third spot, maybe Galway, Offaly, and the Wexford lads. But yeah, look, that's how I see it right now. If you ask me to call it, Jack.
Yeah, look, it's probably too early even to be mystic megging in this Rory anyway, isn't it? It's just, I guess it's really, when you have something as controversial as what happened at the weekend, it sort of throws the whole thing into chaos, because you know now points are so vital and there's such a scrap to get out, and Wexford probably just feel that they're on the back foot because of it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past Wexford to go and beat
I wouldn't either.
To go and beat Galway. They have a history of putting in really big performances when things haven't been going right for them. I mean, was it last year did they get beaten by Meath and went out and beat Kilkenny? To avoid relegation. I mean, that'll just give you an indication of the spirit that they can generate when everything is sort of going against them. So I think there's a lot to play for still in the Leinster Hurling Championship, but Kilkenny will be in the final. They're obviously at a level above, and it'll, like, the Dublin Galway game will be a huge game now. I think that's more or less a Leinster semi-final for me.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting times ahead. Lads, we'll leave it there for this morning. Everybody have a great week, and we'll be back a little bit later on to look ahead to that Munster hurling game on Saturday night, and of course all the football as well. So we'll talk to you on Thursday. Shane, thanks a million for being with us, and for everybody who listens, don't forget to like and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We will talk to you later in the week.
Lead by a point, and there's the whistle, it's over.